I won't lie, I'm surprised that Treyarch dropped such a massive update a little over a week away from the launch of Season 1. Certainly not upset about it, but just surprised, because you figure they kind of roll that stuff in historically into the next major title update. But today, Black Ops 6 received a surprisingly large update for things across the board. Weapon tuning, specialty changes for perks, XP earn rates, and much more. So today, we're running down what you need to know and what changed. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below, and make sure to drop a like if you enjoy the video or find it at all insightful. Of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all things Black Ops 6. Can't thank you guys enough for the support as of recently. It does mean the world, so if you'd like to stay up to date and join us on that road to 600,000 subscribers, I'd love to have you in the community. Finally, today's video is brought to you in part by Techland, the creators of Dying Light 2 Stay Human, but more on that a little later. For now, let's get into the update at hand. So we're gonna break this down into like the key changes, the things that are like the big ticket items, and then some stuff that's still very important, but not as grand or like the main points that you should know going out of this. Firstly, though, the key changes, the Recon specialty was the first specialty to end up getting adjusted within Black Ops 6. Now, of course, for those that aren't aware, Recon is all your blue perks. If you have 3 of those equipped, or 4, though you don't need it with Gunfighter, you end up getting the combat specialty of Recon, which just gives you bonus effects here for your perk selection. Recon in particular allows enemies to be seen through walls for a short time after respawn, and it also gives a HUD edge indicator that'll flash when an enemy is outside your view. And you also leave no death skulls when killing enemies. So 3 pretty big things here in regards to information-based bonuses just for having 3 of those informational perks active. However, it was a bit of a problem because you did end up seeing where everybody was whenever you ended up spawning, and it was one of those things that a lot of people thought it was overpowered, it was free wall hacks, whatever you want to say about it, but it was adjusted by Treyarch as of today's update. This update reduced the duration that enemies are highlighted after respawning to 1.5 seconds down from 2 seconds, and an additional reduction will be coming before Season 1. So this is only part 1 of that Recon specialty rebalancing here at this, which is interesting. Now, granted, 1.5 seconds from 2 isn't that big an issue, but you definitely will start to notice it the more you play around with it, and depending on what that second bit of change is here for that, we don't know, and it could be something that eviscerates it entirely. Also, they resolved an issue that allowed players to activate the Recon specialty by changing loadouts. So that was one of those things where if you ended up starting a, say, round of search and destroy, I saw a clip from Marksman about this where he ended up starting with something that was like the enforcer or strategist, and then running to mid-map and search and destroy, and quickly changing classes to the Recon specialty. If you don't take any engagements or you're still in that time window where you can, it would then show you the Recon ping where you're mid-map and where everybody is. So it's a little bit of an exploit there at that one, but that was also resolved. There were additional perk changes to the perk of Dispatcher, where it increased the perk score for a UAV from 500 to 550, and for the counter UAV from 550 to 600. They also noted that as we head into Season 1, we are continuing to observe data and feedback for perks and combat specialties in multiplayer. Currently, Enforcer is the most popular combat specialty, with Recon in second place. It's not just about the data though, as your feedback is a critical part of how we approach tuning of the live game. With that said, we are making some spot adjustments today as we continue to take a holistic look at our perks and combat specialties moving forward. So this seemingly, again, is only just the beginning, which is nice to hear. But next, let's talk about weapon tuning. First, I gotta say, the patch notes team, this is absolutely one of those things where this is probably the most digestible way to end up doing patch notes. They show a true before and after, statistically speaking, which is definitely nice and helps out big time. So for that, we can kind of breeze through just talking what got nerfed, what got buffed, and not going into every specific detail since it's on screen listed for you there. The XM4, though, did end up getting overall a nerf to the weapon, though a slight buff to the maximum damage range. The AK-74, again, saw about a 50-50 split, some nerfs and buffs to the maximum damage range and minimum damage range, though notably, as with a couple of the other assault rifles here, the headshot multiplier was reduced from 1.3 to 1.15. The aims saw a minor adjustment to the maximum damage range. The GPR got, for the most part, a nerf to the damage ranges and the damage values, but the headshot multiplier was increased ever so slightly, so something that counterbalances that a little bit. The Model L also saw about a split decision on those maximum damage and minimum damage ranges, but the headshot multiplier was instead reduced. The Goblin ended up seeing a little bit of an adjustment to that maximum damage range, and the AS Val ended up seeing a, again, relatively 50-50 split in in regards to its damage ranges. Now, the SMGs, the C9 got a buff all around to the minimum, medium damage 1 and 2 ranges and the maximum damage range. The KSV also saw the same thing. The Tonto saw those medium damage ranges and minimum damage ranges increased, while the PP19, Jackal PDW, and the Compact 92 all again saw buffs to those minimum, medium damage 1 and 2 ranges and the maximum damage ranges. So these, a lot of things on paper, a lot of things in a very focused area, but effectively speaking and in-game, I'm not necessarily expecting too much of a noticeable difference here in these weapons for the most part. Some usage cases, absolutely, but for the most part, they're relatively minimal in a general perspective. Now next, there are some things that interestingly are changed for the XP earn rates across various different modes, but before we continue, this video is brought to you in part by Techland, the creators of Dying Light 2 Stay Human. Dying Light is the post-apocalyptic open-world zombie survival game that is right now, for a limited time until the 6th, 60% off on Steam, and has a brand new raid going on to take part in. The Tower Raid is a co-op focused type of mission set, inspired by the VNC Tower mission in Dying Light 2, where you're tasked with completing bounties, collecting currency, which is candy, and grabbing yourself some new rewards. The Tower Raid Halloween run includes a new character system, each with their own loadouts and traits, a new roguelite-esque perk system, where the more raid runs you do, the stronger you are, new Halloween-themed enemies, floor loot, and more. Now, the event, if you're interested, will last a few weeks here, running until November 20th, so you'll want to jump in and check it out while it's still around. And hey, if it's your first time checking out the game, again, it is 60% off until November 6th. The Reloaded Edition includes the base game, the Bloody Ties DLC, 10 plus quality of life updates and enhancements, the firearms update with even more weapons, and visual improvements, again, all for 60% off. So grab it for yourself if interested to set yourself up for the coming new standalone installment, Dying Light: The Beast, coming soon. But thanks to Techland and Dying Light 2 for sponsoring this video. So back to it, the XP earn rates. This was something that they adjusted player XP and weapon XP for most modes to ensure that players are being rewarded for their match performance as expected wherever they play. So they increased weapon XP earn rates for most modes. They didn't specify which ones in particular, but you should start to see more incremental XP values granted for simply playing the game. And they also ended up mentioning they increased the player XP earn rates for Team Deathmatch, Control, Search and Destroy, and Gunfight, while the player XP and weapon XP were both slightly decreased in the face-off modes, both core and hardcore for all of those modes: Kill Order, Kill Confirmed, Team Deathmatch, and Domination. So that's something that might change some of the way that you grind, maybe not. Like for me, it's relatively inconsequential because I'm playing face-off for camos, not necessarily to rank up. It was just a nice little bonus. And they also didn't specify by how much that was going to be decreased. So it could be something that maybe if we play the exact same amount of time, like real time, like 2 hours, if my buddy's playing core 6v6, I might still be making the same amount of XP because I'm getting more games in versus what he's ending up doing. And so it may be something we don't even notice, but just know that right now, those earn rates were a little bit decreased. Movement changes, we saw an adjustment to the stance change cooldowns to reduce effectiveness of repeated prone to stand movement, that being snaking for those that are unaware what that is referring to, meaning you're going just crouch to prone spamming so that it ends up giving you the peeker's advantage while almost being impossible for players to hit off a heady. We saw some equipment tuning where the flashbang reduced its screen effect by 20%. Scorestreaks saw tuning where it increased the health of UAV and counter UAVs, which at first glance terrified me because of course a lot of people still need to do launcher challenges for the camos, but it says the rockets to destroy remain unchanged. So this is just something that refers to if you're actually shooting it with your ammunition. It also increased the initial explosion radius of a napalm strike, reduced the initial entry delay for the LDBR, it increased the fly-in speed of the strategic bomber, and reduced the score cost for the interceptors from 1250 to 1150. And finally, the other things were bug fixes where it fixed a loadout bug fix where players would auto-equip their last loadout that was previously available to them in the prior games when joining a game in session, or they could also die when picking that loadout for the first time. They also mentioned that players will now be protected when spawning in progress before selecting a loadout and while loading in, which is, thank goodness, this is something that I've had almost every single game that I join in late because I'm playing hardcore, so you're gonna die in one shot, and in face-off, somebody's gonna be there. Like yesterday, I'm not kidding, I started a match 0-5. Like, that is crazy, but it is something that should be fixed out now. That was the update here as of today for Black Ops 6. Again, Very surprising that it was this sizing here and had so much stuff of actually noteworthy weight to it. With Season 1 next week, kind of figured that a lot of the substantial stuff would be saved until the next title update. But hey, again, not complaining. I love when things are fixed out quicker rather than later, so I'm all here for that. But that is where we're going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this update here that we got today? Do you like the changes made? Not so much. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 6. Still got a lot up on deck, a lot of things that I'm really excited to bring you guys. So I'd love to have you in the community, but for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.